As you wake up in the morning, you want to find the latest, greatest information about criminal cases and have an intuitive conversation about the suspects associated with these cases. Head over to the Bullhorn Betty channel on YouTube. Get breaking news right here on the Bullhorn Betty channel. Welcome to the Bullhorn Betty Coffee Club. Enjoy your stay and enjoy your day.
Sure you guys missed me this morning. Did you? Oh, hey, Bren, it's nice to see you. Nice to see you guys coming in. Bet you guys missed me this morning. But you know what? I get some of the evening folks that are never up to watch me at ridiculously early times in the morning. So it's nice that we get to see some faces that we don't normally see in the morning. So hi, all my late people. I had a lot to do today. And quite frankly, tomorrow is going to be a little sketch too. I'm going to get up. We've got our show planned for first thing. Yeah. So we're going to be doing a live broadcast first thing in the morning, 6:30 to 8:30, maybe 7 to 9, 9:30. And because I know that we don't need to be up so early. I mean, when the kids got to go to school and they got to get up and it's a hustle and bustle house in the morning, it's one thing. But most of the people, we're in summer months. Some people are off, they're taking vacations. They're getting up a little later. So we're going to be getting up a little later because we want to make sure our audience gets to see us live, right? So there's, we're talking about a lot of different cases, and I got some information which we probably will go over tomorrow. And it is on which one's this one? So if you guys remember the vacation mom, the mom that went to Puerto Rico and Detroit while she left her 16-month child home. Well, we got some of the record requests in on that file. So we'll be going over those probably sometime tomorrow or, Saturday. I will be going live this weekend, Saturday, as well as Sunday. Because obviously Thursday and Friday is going to be a little up in the air because of the company I'm going to be having. So long story short, I will be here first thing in the morning, and you guys won't see me, but you guys will see me over the weekend. Now, the kickoff of this one, we're talking about Rudy Farias. We heard about this. I didn't really jump in on this. We talked about it on my lives, but we didn't brand any specific live to Rudy's case because just something was really off for me, especially the whole 8 years missing. And him being 17. So, and then there were some stories that were coming out that were really kind of like really far-fetched. Like he was walking the dogs and came across a girl that was being, that was trafficked or whatever the case may be. I don't know. And, he just told her to run, and I'm like, that just seems like if something like that happened, it would have been breaking the news. It would have been just, everybody and their mother out in Texas would have been hunting for this person that attacked this young girl. And now this boy that was walking a dog went missing. Okay. It wouldn't have been a missing person case like it was. It doesn't sound, my understanding after doing a litany of research, and I'm sure you guys are probably hearing this from a lot of channels. I don't know. I haven't been watching a lot of channels. But it kind of, I did learn that 17 in Texas is an adult. So even back 8 years ago, when he was reported missing, they did take it seriously. It's not like they didn't. They just took the report and it just went on a desk somewhere. I mean, it sounds like they've actually made several trips to the house over this period of time. It also, from my understanding, sounds like not only Rudy, but his mother has provided law enforcement on those visits. Hey, cool gamer, it's nice to see you. On those visits, it sounds like they both gave them, bunk names. And when you do background checks, especially on the mother, you see multiple aliases come up on her. Multiple. I mean, it's I pull reports. I pull background checks as part of my regular, as part of this job. Looking into people, looking into the cases, trying to find any possible leads, tips, people to contact, people to talk to. So I'm constantly pulling background checks on people, witnesses, suspects, victims, anything and everything. So. I'm not going to, put that information out. I believe there are some that have already put it out there, but I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to let my audience know that there is a significant amount of aliases under her name, and out of all the reports I pulled, this is the largest of aliases, I have to say. But what really kicked this off, a lot of people were, coming out and bashing, this is why you don't ever say people are dead, First of all, if this case was truly, this child went missing at 17 years old and he was found 8 years later and nobody saw him, even in that particular matter, he would still be the outlier, right? Because we know that the chances of survival statistically, that means the majority, the law of large numbers. We never want to take hope away, but we are a realistic channel. And we talk to our audience as if they've got a brain and can think for themselves. I didn't like this when I heard that he wound up at that church and he was so close to his home at the time that they found him. That right from the very beginning, first hearing about him being found was odd for me. And again, wanted more information before we really dove into this. We talked about it. We talked about some of the changes in this case. We've touched on everything, but now I have a good understanding of what took place here. This actually sounds like, and granted, this is hypothetical. This is just an opinion based upon some information that I received. It sounds to me like this may have been an insurance scam gone terribly wrong. Apparently, now we don't know if this holds water. It sounds like this is an angle that law enforcement is truly investigating. But yes, Beulah, you're right. This whole thing sounds like a big scam. And not just this scam. We heard that when he went missing, there were, what's that? Why can't I think of it? Everybody runs to it. Every time anything happens, they go and want to crowdfund money on it. What is it called again? I can't remember. I don't know. I don't use it very often. But either way, you guys know what I'm talking about, where you go and put your amount in. It sounds like they had this whole thing going on. And from what I heard, there was even a rumor that the GoFundMe, thank you, Megan. Geez, Louise. GoFundMe. Thank you. And so it sounds like that this whole GoFundMe, now we're hearing rumors. I'm going to say this is all rumors because, to be honest with you, outside of what I'm going to say, we know for fact, this is all stuff that I'm hearing out there that does make sense. And it could possibly be the reason we're here today discussing this case. Now, it could possibly be this insurance scam. Now, we have to look, what is the probability of that being the case? We heard that there was some kind of insurance policy for Rudy. It sounds, according to some family members, that this policy, he would have to have been missing for a minimum of 3 years in order to cash in on the policy. this would make sense. Really, it would make sense because we have to look at what the mother was going through at the time. Now, did this happen? I can't tell you whether it did happen. We're going to talk about the truth in just a second. But I am going to address some of the rumors that I heard that I feel could explain some of this. So the mom had just, had lost a husband a few years before she lost her son. It sounds like Rudy was her only surviving child and family member, immediate family member, from what we're all kind of hearing. I don't know if anybody else lived in that house with them. I almost want to say that I heard there were 2 other people living there, but I don't know. I think it might be in one of these videos that I have pulled up for you guys to see, and we'll get to that. I didn't write it down. So if I didn't write it down, I review so much stuff, I can't keep it all together. So, so the rumors are that there's this possible insurance policy. Now, it would go into that whole realm of, them having financial issues because of the loss of the husband, the loss of the brother. I can see where the mom might be going through some financial hardship, and this relieved her. They had the GoFundMe, the insurance policy. All he had to do was just stay hidden for just a little bit. And I think that extended, and then something more started happening there because they were so isolated together, neither one of them could leave. And I think that when we were hearing about how he was going over to neighbors, it's because those are probably new neighbors, didn't know what was going on. They probably felt comfortable that they didn't know that he had been missing. So he was able to go out of that home. So this whole held captive thing doesn't really bode with me either. But I do have an explanation for it. I do have an explanation. So before we get diving into this, I want to go back. I know many of us have already seen this video. It is the Quinnell X. He's the activist that had an opportunity to speak with Rudy, and I'm going to play it, but we're going to play it through, but I'm going to stop it because I do have some commentary that I want to make on it. And I'm going to do that for the other videos as well. I know we've watched them. If you haven't watched them, you're just watching them here for your first time, you'll still be able to get the context, even though we're not going to play it all the way through without stopping. But this is really what kicked this off. Everybody was kind of cheering, yay, we found a kid after 8 years. And then something happened. And all these lies started surfacing. And we all just kind of got sucked into this because it's like, wait, what? Right? We're all sitting here scratching our heads, and now neighbors are coming out with TikTok saying, wait a minute, we just saw this guy. They're on the news saying, hey, we just saw this guy. He's been hanging out with us for years. What do you mean he's missing? We didn't know he was missing. So it's like, oh my goodness. Okay, well, that's great. I'm glad you did. I'm glad you did. Now you can be happy and go away. But so, and I'm just like, but you hear this story and you can't, to us, to the normal people, you would think that this is unbelievable. And there are 2 options here. There are 2 possibilities here. One is whether or not this really happened and what did actually happen. So I'm just going to kick off. Let's get started as to what kicked this entire case off, blew it up, made it almost go viral with the crazy in this case. And I believe this guy. I mean, what reason does this man have to lie? Even when you see him talking and you see him emotional, like there were some things said in that room that shook this man to his core. Okay. I mean, his body language is not, it's not showing deception. It's showing remorse and just disbelief. So let's take a look at this. Let me take this banner down real quick. Let's take a look at this and then we'll go from there. And I see that my internet's going down just slightly. I apologize. I don't know what's going on with it, but it is what it is. So we're just going to go do this the best we can. There is his backup anyways.
So you've been here with Rudy and his mother?
Hopefully you guys
For
can
a few hours, yes.
What are the conversations like?
Let me first apologize for my appearance. I received an emergency phone call to get over here for this meeting with the detectives, Rudy's mother and Rudy.
Now, I want to give you guys some context here. He's saying he met with Rudy and detectives. Now, we're going to hear a police conference that basically states they have no knowledge of these SA allegations. No knowledge whatsoever of SA allegations, none whatsoever. So it makes the public question this man versus law enforcement, because law enforcement is telling on one hand that this is not, but you have to listen to what law enforcement is specifically saying, and they're not saying that his statement is inaccurate. They're not. We're going to talk when we get to that part where law enforcement is answering these questions. I want you to pay close attention. I'm going to stop the tape and show you what they say and how they specifically state it, because it almost implies something else, and it doesn't. So before we get there, we're going to listen to Malcolm, probably because it's X, Quinnell X.
So I dropped everything I was doing and made it as fast as I possibly could. And I spent about an hour.
Doesn't look like he's being deceptive.
One-on-one with Rudy and with one of the detectives. I heard horrific things from that young man. And I did not want him to see me start shedding tears, but I couldn't hold back the tears because of the things he was saying to us, the detective and myself. No child should ever be treated like that by your own mother. This young man said that when he initially ran away, he came back 2 days later.
Now, this is back in 2015 when he disappeared. They're saying he came back 2 days later, which sounds about right. It sounds probable. So I don't see, and again, this man here, I don't see any reason for him to lie. I see no reason for him to lie.
And she told him that he had to hide, that he was going to get in trouble, and they were going to arrest him for running away, and that he had to continue hiding. And so she hid him out for a while, then brought him back to the house and hid him in the home. And initially, whenever the investigators would come, she would hide him in the house. And he kept saying, I don't want her to go to prison. I don't want her to get in trouble. I don't want her to go to jail.
Now listen to what he's saying. So this man, Rudy, he is speaking of, is telling him a story, but making sure his mom does not get in trouble. And this is going to play an important role when we get to law enforcement statement. I want you to remember this, what he just said. He doesn't want his mother getting in trouble. He doesn't want his mother arrested.
And so we asked him, why did you run away? And he said he just got tired of her not respecting his boundaries. And she said that he wanted his own life. And his exact word was, I was tired of living like a slave. She would take him to work with her, and he would do the required work she was supposed to do. And a lot of the responsibilities of her job was on him. And he went on to say that what troubled him the most was her crossing his personal space boundaries.
So this is where it kind of gets into him having to play daddy. And so this guy is very respectful. The problem is with this is I don't think Quinnell should have been public with with Rudy's story. And here is why. Because if these allegations are true, which they most likely will become true, and we're going to get into this a little further. I'm trying to be careful with what I say because I don't want to, I've got this all set up to flow right into one another. But when it comes to, well, let's just play this real quick.
He said that she would make him sleep in the bed with her. And he said that she made him play daddy.
So this is a man that doesn't seem like he's being deceptive in any way. And the reason why I want you guys to pay attention to what he says is because he is describing this SA, right? I mean, that's basically what he's describing, a habitual SA issue in that house. And I don't think it was, here's the issue. If this is happening, which I believe it is, Rudy would be a victim of SA. In many jurisdictions, victims of SA are never publicly disclosed. They do that to protect the victim of a very, very personal crime. And so now, granted, I believe Quinnell's intentions were all good intentions. Okay, I mean they are good intentions. But what he basically did is he's now jeopardized. Bear with me. I'm not saying anything is wrong with him. I would have probably done the same thing. Okay, I would have probably done the same thing. In all honesty, if I heard something like this in an interview, I would have probably been handed it over to law enforcement and came live about it. So with me saying this, I'm trying to be very respectful. I'm not trying to beat him up, but I'm trying to explain to you why we're going to hear some of the things we're going to hear in the police conference. And the only way I can show you why you're hearing that is by going down this road. So he has come forward and basically talked about an SA, a habitual and a continuous SA issue inside a home. He's basically exposing a victim of an SA crime to the public, which, like I said, in many jurisdictions, they withhold that information. So law enforcement probably isn't really the happiest with him at this moment by giving this press conference, because he did kind of, again, his intentions are good, but he did jeopardize the investigation a little bit, because a lot of these investigations, the best part of these investigations is the secrecy, being able to play your suspects, so to speak, make them think that you're not really looking into them. You're not really wanting to arrest them. You want them to have their guard down. You don't want them to be fleeing because they're worried that they're going to get arrested. You want them, you want the suspects calm. You want the suspects calm. And by him going public with this, which we would never have known about it, let's be honest, if he didn't come public with this, okay, this would have been swept under the rug. We would have barely heard about it at trial. I really think that he exposed a lot, and I'm glad and thankful that he did what he did, okay? So I want to make sure everybody knows where I truly stand on this. I'm just speaking of this in realistic terms, because we know how law enforcement is, and we know the kinds of information that lips means something, the world body language. I can't remember what. I noticed he's looking as it could be nerves. It could be nerves. Whenever you're in a situation like this, I can tell you personally, your mouth goes dry. I don't know why, but when you're in a situation, and especially him exerting tears out of his eyes, any moisture he's got left, he's probably a little parched, I would presume. But you never know. Like you said, licking lips, it could be something. It could be something. It could be a sign of deception. It could be a sign, we don't know what is his normal, how he normally acts. Like even pursing lips, the thing that they talk about in the Brian Koberger case, if he did that all the time, if it was a normal twitch for him, we wouldn't think anything of it. But we haven't been monitoring his behavior until he was in front of the camera for a quadruple homicide. So we don't know what his normal behavior is and his body makeup and whatnot. But either way, I believe this guy. I mean, you can look at his eyes. His eyes are watering up. I mean, I got him on the bigger screen, and like you can see the distraught in his eyes. I mean, I don't think that this guy is being deceptive in any way. So I want to get over to the press conference so you guys can hear what this has to say, and we're probably going to double back to Quinnell X's interview, but I wanted to set the tone because you're going to hear some things that they say in this press conference, and you're going to have to listen very closely what they're really saying, because again, it's word salad. It's word salad. They have an investigation and the integrity of an investigation to uphold. But believe me, they are taking this stuff seriously, and we are going to talk about it even more. This is going to be a little bit longer, so just bear with me.
Everybody up. Okay. Good. All right. Good afternoon, everyone. We're here to discuss the missing person investigation of Rudy Farias. But before I do that, I want to address.
Apparently, there's some issues. I'm going to try to skip through some of this stuff. Apparently, there's some issues with all the cars, all the patrol cars not having dashboard cameras. And apparently, there's a big hoopla about it. I'm not really with the dashboard cameras. If I have an opportunity to have a body-worn camera versus a dashboard camera, Betty is licking her lips now. A little lizard. I would rather have the body-worn cameras. I to be honest with you, I look at everything when I get the record request, but I go straight for the body cams. I have to be honest with you every time, as opposed to the dashboard. And then if I see something interesting, I'll go back to the dashboard and see what it looks like from the dashboard cam. So let me get past this. Okay, so I think we're right here.
On that. So the actual numbers, we have 579 vehicles for 2 years. We've
old when his mother reported.
Okay.
With the Homicide Division Missing Persons Unit, to my left, I have Detective Sergeant Jimenez, Detective Brian Ford.
Hopefully you guys can hear it. It's low on my end. Let me see if I can plug in my mic.
Today we're discussing facts related to 25-year-old Rudy Farias, who was reported missing on March 7th, 2015. He was 17 years old when his mother reported him missing. During the 8-year time frame where he was missing, investigators followed up on many tips.
You guys can hear it? Hard to hear?
Evidence proving that Rudy was not missing during the 8-year period.
I think they adjust.
Many of these facts included.
I think they adjust the volume in just a moment. Because I remember it being pitched up higher.
Contacts and statements with relatives, friends, neighbors, and medical professionals. Rudy was recently identified as having previous HPD interactions, meaning that he made contact with patrol officers out on the street. However, during these contacts, fictitious names and date of births were given, misleading the officers.
There's the one thing I said. Remember I said that when they were going, it's not that they sat on their hands and they just took a report and that was it. They didn't do that. They actually went out there several times to follow up on the missing person investigation, and his mother still deceived them. And at times would give Rudy and his mother would give false names to law enforcement. False names to law enforcement.
And Rudy would remain missing. In fact, both Janie, Rudy's mother, and Rudy himself gave fictitious names while interacting with various patrol officers. After investigators talked with him yesterday, it was discovered that Rudy returned home the following day on March 8th, 2015. The mother, Janie, continued to deceive police by remaining adamant that Rudy was still missing. She alleged her nephew was the person friends and family were seeing coming and going. However, we disputed that.
So they have absolutely confirmed 100% that Rudy was staying at the house. The mother tried to convince them that it was a cousin, and law enforcement, factual information as a statement of fact, denounced that, and it didn't hold water. It was truly Rudy at that house. So we definitely know that for a fact. Law enforcement just confirmed it.
Currently, the DA has declined any charges at this time for.
Now you heard at this time. You're going to hear. Now I do have, somebody reached out to me, and I put this out there on Twitter. I don't know if how true it is, but I believe it is true. I believe it is true that within the next 7 days, there will be an arrest made in this case. That is what I'm hearing from on the back end of, for me. Because everybody's saying why is there no arrest? Why did he leave? We're gonna explain all of that. He did not leave with his mother. From my understanding, he is not staying with his mother. I just want to dispute that as well. They're going to say that he left willingly with his mother. He did not. He is with family, friends. So let's just keep going.
Making fictitious reports and failure to ID. Investigators have reached out to Adult Protective Services. HPD Victim Services has reached out. We've also connected Rudy with Victim Services to ensure that he has a method to recover. Now, based on Rudy's interview, there were no reports of sexual abuse reported.
Now you hear him. Reported. What does it take to report a crime? It's not just telling an officer about the crime. You can tell somebody about the crime all day long. You can tell law enforcement about the crime all day long. But until you physically write that affidavit outlining the crimes that took place, there's not a whole lot that they can do. But they are doing what they need to do. And we're going to get to that.
If there is a disclosure made, we will continue to investigate.
If there is a disclosure made, if he tells him, it has to have a written statement under penalty of perjury. It's called an affidavit, and it is required in a case like this.
Currently, the investigation is active, and there are new leads coming in. We'll continue to follow those leads. We do take all allegations seriously, and any new information or facts that we receive will be investigated.
And remember how what was his name? Quinnell. I don't know why I can't say his name. Quinnell. Remember how he kept saying that Rudy kept saying, I don't want my mom in trouble. I don't want her arrested. Remember him telling us that? And you just heard this law enforcement state that they have not received a report about the allegations yet. And if they do, they will investigate that. Okay. So it's not that they do not have, or they do not believe that there's nothing that they can do at this moment unless they find evidence of this particular crime. And I think they're looking, and we'll get to that in a second as well.
Thank you, Lieutenant. One question at a time, please.
Oh,
Do
no.
not yell them out.
I'm gonna let him translate, then we're gonna do it.
Okay.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Okay. And then they're going to translate this in Spanish. So let me go ahead and get this.
Buenos días y gracias a todos por estar aquí.
Report and put in offense reports what a victim or potential victim tells us. Okay.
Oh, here, this is where he explains it a little bit better.
What they interview is all investigation.
Here's the first question.
From what you just said today, are you saying that the activist was lying?
Basically, what we're saying is our investigation is our investigation, and we treat it the same. We're gonna, our investigators were in the room, and basically, what they heard and what they.
There you go. What did he just say? What did he just say there? He admitted that his investigators were in the room and they heard what they heard. So now that has already corroborated Quinnell's statement that he was there with detectives. And this officer just confirmed that. So they are holding back a lot. They're holding back a lot. And because Quinnell went public with the SA allegations, it is causing some problems on their end by trying to keep certain facts under wrap. So, again, I'm not beating up Quinnell at all. Again, I'm just stating the facts as they are. Okay, I would have most likely have done the same thing, and I would have had people saying, "Yeah, right." Okay, that's what media does. It's what we do. It's what activists and advocates do. So but we do have to look at it, because in fairness, this is information that law enforcement doesn't want out to the public, and definitely doesn't want to be known by any kind of suspect in the crime, because they might what? Flee. And what did we hear? We heard that mom did what? Packed up her stuff in the middle of the night and went somewhere. So this has already caused problems with Quinnell coming out publicly. And now what you're seeing with law enforcement, in my opinion, is them kind of walking some of that stuff back to help preserve their case. That's what I'm seeing here.
Of view, that's what we attest to in our offense reports and our investigations. And I'm not here, neither are they here, to question anybody's integrity, but our integrity with the Houston Police Department stands. And we're going to report and put in offense reports what a victim or potential victim tells us. Okay.
But just to be clear, in that room, the detective did not hear anything about sexual abuse allegations.
Go ahead.
Can you just clear that up?
Yeah,
Okay.
Sergeant Stefan Jimenez. Yes, I interviewed him, and no, there was no, I'm trained to listen for probable cause.
He's trained to listen for probable cause, but you can't have probable cause unless the witness is willing to provide that in a statement. So they're having to they're having to take a longer route to get to the end of this, probably because Rudy is not cooperating as much as he should be in a situation like this, because he is, maybe he is, but he is under his mother's thumb.
I'm trained to listen for statements that can help me get charges or move forward with the case. And no, there was no statements made during this investigation so far. No.
Thank you. Next question.
And we know that's not true. And he never said, if you listen to what he said, he never denied the sexual allegation aspect of it. He never denied it. He denied all statements. In reality, that's what he just said. No statements made whatsoever.
Question. Go ahead, Maria.
Can that be answered in
Wait a
Spanish?
minute. Go ahead. Because we get it. Yeah. Go ahead.
That is correct, coming from Rudy Farias.
Was there any conversations about a sexual relationship between mother and son?
So we don't release any type of information related to sexual assaults.
There you have it. That's why it's such a problem with what Quinnell said to the public. Now, granted, he had, and not only that, but think about it, Rudy, I doubt when Rudy told him this story, Rudy anticipated being broadcast and splattered across media nationwide. I doubt that was his intention when he trusted Quinnell with details of this SA and some really disturbing things that we're learning. I just think and again, we all do it that's out here, even mainstream media. But I think that they're having to do a lot of walking back in order to preserve the integrity of this investigation. Because believe me, his mother is definitely under investigation. And I can guarantee you that in all fairness, Rudy himself is most likely also under investigation, because they're going to want to know why he would agree to acting as if he didn't exist for 8 years. There is a reason for that. It's not like this man wasn't free to go inside and outside his home. We heard neighbors talk about how he came over and hung out with them. He had every opportunity to leave if he so chose. So why is he lying about not being a runaway for 8 years. There is a reason there. And it seems like a reason that would get them both in a lot of trouble if we're known. So again, without a doubt, they are being investigated, not just mom. I guarantee Rudy is being investigated equally right along with his mother. And, depending on how this comes out, I don't know. I think his mother will be charged. I think that's the one that's going to be arrested within the next 7 days.
That's just state law.
Just
can't
state
comment
law.
on that.
They do not ever release victims' information.
Then in all of this, or did he and his mother work together? I mean, he wasn't missing.
The investigation is still going on, Courtney, and I'm not going to say he's a victim or not. I'm thinking, and saying we're going to treat this just as we do with any potential victim or victim.
See, he's just walking it back. He's trying to let them know we're not saying he's a victim, because then that would imply that there is that SA, which they never acknowledge, because it's state law for them not to disclose the name of an SA victim in Texas. And so you see where the issue is coming in. Now, what you're going to hear, and actually I'm probably not going to play it all the way through because this is an hour video, and we'll have some talking points tomorrow as well. But what I did get out of here is that this is an active investigation. Police are stating the victim didn't tell them anything, and we just discussed that. They talk about not releasing any information about victims of SA. They are following the evidence and where the evidence will lead. We also have the house that was previously searched. Here this is.
The sun was up. Detectives with the crime scene unit could be seen taking videos and pictures, walking around the backyard. It's unclear where the family is, but neighbors and family say they're concerned about Rudy Farias, known by many in this neighborhood as Dolph.
I fear for Rudy Farias' life.
Rudy's aunt, Pauline Sanchez Rodriguez, says she's worried about her nephew's well-being. He was last seen with his mother leaving the hotel near Bush Airport, where they were interviewed by HPD on Wednesday. This is video that neighbors took Tuesday night as Rudy's mother loaded up their car, less than 24 hours before police questioned her. This is what she said on camera.
And now they want to arrest me because they said I was hiding him.
Everything's coming out to the light, because I knew that she's been lying all this time.
Neighbors tell KPRC that they would see Rudy regularly, and they called him Dolph. They also claimed that the mother, Janie, offered them money.
Stay quiet. She wanted us to keep quiet. But I told her, before I walked off, I told her one thing I'm not supposed to do is lie about something.
Wow. She even approached the neighbors to lie and offered them money. There is something much more nefarious going on here. Much more nefarious. And it may be because of the SA. We got to think of mom's mental state as well. She lost her husband, lost a son. He was the only last really living relative that she had. Potentially, they were, this is just some twisted stuff. Also, I wanted you to hear the family.
Any allegations of sexual abuse from Rudy. Looks like we just lost our signal there, and it looks like the family is speaking right now. Let's go ahead and hear from
one
them.
of Janie's friends. She's
Second word from what we know of.
She took Rudy yesterday from the hotel. So like the chief of police said that Rudy is with his mother. He needs to get the facts straight. Rudy is not with his mother.
There you go. Rudy is not with his mother. Many people are concerned about his well-being and everything. His mother took off without him, from my understanding. So he is with friends, family friends. Let's hope it stays that way. But I also wanted to go back. Law enforcement is saying that they're going to take this. Before we go into here, I had some talking points about the crime scene aspect of this, where they're going inside the house. Guys, they're going in there most likely to see if there's biological material in that master bedroom consistent with what Rudy is stating. They are taking this seriously. They're not charging the mother yet. They're trying to cool this down a little bit so they can get their investigation and get their I's dotted and their T's crossed in this. They've said it multiple times. They're not making any arrests in this case until their investigation is complete. I truly believe there will be an arrest made. Now, the police chief talks about budget. He spent a lot of his time, well, not a lot of his time. He spent a good portion, though, speaking about the lack of budget that they have. This is what we're hearing all over this country. All over this country. We're hearing, up in Idaho and Moscow, they're letting people walk and skate on some serious crimes because they don't have the finances to prosecute them. This whole thing about defunding our police, defunding this, defunding that, this is the result of it. We don't even have money in this country to prosecute the worst of the worst, right? Now, granted, this mom probably doesn't rise to the level of the worst, but she is a flippin' monster. She is a monster. And she deserves, and he does too, quite frankly, because no matter what he did, no matter whether he stayed with her or didn't stay with her or had an opportunity to leave, he was mentally screwed up by that lady. She was his mother, right? His mother. It's just sad. So let's get back to his family and what they have to say.
Is with this other friend who has known and had Rudy in her possession.
¿Dónde está Rudy en estos momentos? ¿Qué saben de él?
Rudy ahorita está con una amiga de Jenny, la mamá, y estamos esperando que él viene con la familia.
You know, one of the things the chief just said in that press conference was that if you're watching yesterday, Quinnell X talked about that there were sexual assault allegations that his mother had sexually assaulted him, had drugged him, and the chief said there is no indication that happened.
Let me interrupt on that. I'm going, hold on.
I'm sorry, I just want to make sure we hear you.
The chief is not going to know if those allegations are true or not unless Rudy had been taken to go get medically evaluated. It doesn't take, it doesn't take someone to have a degree to know that you are not going to know anything if you are not checked.
But of course, Rudy was in the hospital.
Rudy was not in the hospital.
Oh, this is another thing. This is a mind blower too. This is a mind blower too. Listen to this.
The pictures that Janie had been posting and giving to the media and everybody, are pictures from 2012 when Rudy was hospitalized.
2012, those hospital photos that's been passed around, those aren't recent photos. Those are 2012 photos of him in the hospital bed where they found him. We've been thinking he was at the hospital when he was walking out with that blanket over his head. It was a hotel. It wasn't a hospital. It was a hotel. Quinnell met him at a hotel. So they're saying that he never went to a hospital.
They are not from this past week. They are not recent pictures. So if higher authority would get their story straight and do the investigation like they're supposed to, they would know these things.
Are you saying that he was sexually assaulted by
I
his
do
mother?
believe that Rudy would not come out and say something like that. Rudy was a very shy, timid little boy.
But are you saying it's possible?
And it makes you wonder how long this is going on. How long was this going on? We know that the lady lost her husband and lost her son a few years from each other. But was this going on? He was a quiet, timid boy before. A quiet, timid boy before. Right? And just a little advertisement here. If you guys don't know, our beautiful Sonia makes shirts. She has a whole line of Coffee Club and Bullhorn Betty shirts. If you'd like to give those or would like to purchase a shirt from her as opposed to Teespring, I can tell you that it's a lot quicker turnaround shipping time. And they're good quality shirts. They're good quality shirts. You've seen the shirts that I have, the hats. They're nice, good quality shirts. So if you'd like to, purchase a shirt from Sonia, she's going to be donating $5 toward the channel. So I thought it'd be great. So if you guys would like to order your shirts, please get with her. Sonia is in the chat. I thought I saw her earlier. You can get with her and order your shirts, get all that stuff taken care of. They're great shirts. She's got several different styles. She's got the ones with, the team foul play. She's got the no justice, no peace, which Dolly, Olivia and I are on it. She's got a whole line of Bullhorn Betty. So if you guys would like to get that from her, please go over and support one of our channel members.
Possible that happened. You
Yes.
believe his mother was
Yes.
capable of that.
Yes.
¿Ustedes sí creen que pudo haber abusado sexualmente de él?
Yes. Yes. La mamá sí le hizo algo y nosotros no vamos a saber nada si no lo llevan con un doctor para que lo pueden chequear. El chief of police y todos que están diciendo que no saben o no pueden aclarar eso, no van a poder aclarar nada si no lo llevan con un médico.
¿Qué piensan de hoy de la conferencia?
Let me speak. I'm going to say this in English. Chief of Police could have brought out Quinnell X statement because my nephew Rudy Farias, who so-called quote unquote was missing since 8 years ago, 2015, and those fake hospital pictures were fake from 2012. Quinnell statement should have been brought up because Quinnell is here to help. It's very rare that he would come out and speak up on behalf. And my nephew Rudy would have never talked if Janie was around. Okay, Janie is a hypothetical liar, manipulative. She knows a lot of people in the HPD. So I'm gonna have to say.
And that's another thing we have a problem with here, is that Janie was married to an HPD PD officer. She was married to a brother in blue. So again, I think that this police department and outfit is handling this in the most professional way they can possibly handle it, right? They have to show respect for an officer's wife, meanwhile maintaining an investigation against her. It is a balancing act. But I don't believe, I don't worry about people fleeing too much. I don't worry about people. Listen, Big Brother's watching. Big Brother's watching. It's hard to get away this day and age. Maybe 30, 40 years ago, we're finding all these, with the DNA, solving these unsolved cases and, people that have fled. It's different this day and age than it was. Like we have traffic camera lights. We have, license plate reader, tag readers. We've got, tolls that take pictures of your license plate. I mean, it is phenomenal how quickly, if with the right credentials, like say an FBI credential, how quickly you can track somebody out. U.S. Marshal credential, it's amazing how you can be looking for somebody for a year. You turn it over to the U.S. Marshals, and in 2 days they're picked up and brought back, right? So Big Brother's watching. I'm not worried about people fleeing. I like even Kayla Montgomery fled, right? U.S. Marshals busted in the door and hauled her butt back. I'm not worried about it. I'm not worried about it.
I'm not quite sure, but I'm gonna have to say she knows a lot of people in HPD, and that's why her freaking ass has been covered up.
How are you?
Freaking ass. Like his family. You guys, we have to remember there's a whole entire family that thought this boy was gone for 8 years. Can you imagine how pissed off they are? Excuse my language, but that's exactly the only word that can describe the frustration and anger about being lied to literally for 8 years. These people do not like Janie. That one right there looks like if Janie was in front of her, she'd kick her ever-loving butt down the road. I'm not lying. That is one ticked off auntie.
Sienten saber que no hay cargos en contra.
No hay cargos.
Dijo que no hay cargos ahorita.
And that's the first thing. How is a mom going to do something to her child, knowing that that is very wrong and that's crucial, okay? It runs in the family, in her family, and I'm very pissed off, and I don't want to.
Ooh, runs in her family. Doing this to one another runs in her family. That is what's being alleged by other family members.
Bring my past up because of Santana's stepfather, and I'm sorry to say that I grew a hard life, but
so it sounds like her father,
because of her father, that sexually abused me. So it runs in her freaking family.
Are you saying that someone should?
So the abused becomes the abusers, folks. The abused becomes the abuser. We got that. Okay, so I already got that. And then I just came here and I was doing some, work on TikTok to see what was going on, because there's a lot of people that came out and spoke to the media. Here's one right here.
Now they want to arrest me because they said I was hiding him.
I guess mom is now denying that she wasn't trying to hide him.
No. Yeah, she hit him. Here we go. This is one.
From a distance, neighbors took video of Rudy Farias' mother loading up a car in her driveway Tuesday night.
When he first went missing, he didn't report it to the police. And
He didn't report it to the police. He goes missing and he didn't report it to the police.
He might have done some crimes, which he didn't. And now they want to arrest me because they said I was hiding him.
Her 25-year-old son vanished 8 years ago at age 17.
It's just we've always, in our hearts, knew that he wasn't really missing.
During those 8 years, his cousin, Cassandra Lopez, says she called 911 in 2018 after family members saw Farias at his mother's home. She says their grandmother told her she spoke with Rudy often.
And how did those conversations go? And she would talk about Rudy.
She would just say, I saw Rudy, he came to check on me, and, we just said hello and have their little conversation. She never went into detail, but she would say she saw him.
Did you ever notice anything suspicious over there?
No, like when he talked to us, he doesn't say too much on who he really is. We just know that he lives down here with his mom. He goes to work with her around 6 p.m. to maybe 7 or 8 in the morning. And he just been freely walking down the streets.
Neighbors shared this text message appearing to show a conversation between Farias' mother and the neighbor, where she identifies herself as Dolph's mom. Lopez hopes Farias is safe enough to tell his story.
I mean, half of his life is almost, or a quarter of his life's already been taken away from him.
Wow, that's powerful. A quarter of his life has already been taken away from him. So what would make a person do this? What would make a person, a 17-year-old kid, 17-year-old kids are looking to go out on dates with girls their age. And his mom is taking him away from that and doing some really twisted stuff to her son. And so the family doesn't know they felt like he was there and that she was hiding him. But you can see the anger on his family's face that they were robbed of time with him. They were robbed of time with him, and it makes you wonder why. Why would she say her son has been gone for 8 years and then double down when news reporters reached out to her? When news reporters reached out to her at the beginning, she's like, oh my God, I haven't seen my son in 8 years. Everybody's feeling bad for her. Their hearts are just bleeding. And then you find out, then neighbors start coming out and what do you mean missing for 8 years? He's been hanging out with us. I've known him for years. I watched him walking up and down this road freely and, all this other stuff. So what would make somebody do something like this? I think it's as simple as Stockholm Syndrome. Many people don't understand Stockholm Syndrome. Stockholm Syndrome is when right here, you have affection for a kidnapping or a hostage taking by a victim toward a captor. So they have empathy. They start having feelings. They start feeling bad for their captor. They start understanding their captor's mentality. They start empathizing and sympathizing. It's because their brain goes into this protective mode. It really does. And so they start having trust. And with this being his mother, naturally he would have had trust and trusted her to protect him. And she didn't. And he ran away. And apparently he took her car and wrecked it. She's telling law enforcement she doesn't know who did it. And he was trying to flee his mother. He was tired of this life. He was tired of this life. This man, he probably wanted a girlfriend and he got a mom, his mom. He had to have known, because his family didn't die until he was a few years before. So probably around 14 or 15, his dad or his stepdad, I don't know if that was his biological father or not, died. Then his brother died. Then he runs away from home. Where was this, I just feel like he trusted his mom to do the right thing. And I think there's more here. And I think that this whole insurance scam might explain it. She would have told him, if you say anything to anybody, you'll go to jail. He tried to say that, his mom told him that he would go to jail for running away. I don't think it had anything to do with that. He was 11, I believe, Rhonda says. So, yeah. Sean says free membership when we hit 200 likes. So if you guys could hit 200 likes, somebody's going to get a free membership. Nice. Thank you, Sean. Nice to see you. Nice to see you. But I think Stockholm Syndrome would explain everything. Even the potential of him leaving with his mother, according to his aunts, he's with a family friend. He drove off from that hotel with a family friend. And it sounds like his mother went back to the house and packed up her stuff and may be on the run. She may have left. I can only imagine that the media scrutiny in front of her home is pretty massive out there. You hear a child disappeared for 8 years and you find out it was a freaking scam and a hoax. And now states are not prosecuting her on this crime yet, but I think they're passing up the low-hanging fruit in this case, and I understand why. He's been captive for 8 years. Okay. If all this stuff is true, then they've obviously lied and did something. We don't know what just yet. I have a funny feeling it's that insurance thing. I really do. There's just something in me that feels like it might be this insurance thing. But I believe she told him that if you say anything, if you leave, you're going to be arrested. Fraud, right? He's telling investigators that he was told that he was going to be arrested for running away from home. I don't think that statement's true. I think she told him that if he said anything, and that's probably why he kept his mouth shut for so long. But now it's been 8 years. That money's probably already been collected and spent, and he's still under his mother's thumb. And he's probably 25 years old. He's probably ready to have a life. And that sounds like, yes, Athena, crazy is an understatement for this. Crazy is an understatement for this. But it does bring up some valid points, such as how many other situations are like this? Remember when we had like Serenity McKinney, we had Harmony Montgomery and Summer Wells all kind of going, like we were all finding out about them. And Serenity McKinney was a child that disappeared years before she was reported missing. And then right behind that, or maybe it was the opposite, maybe it was Harmony, then Serenity. But either way, we found out it just seemed like these things came into like couples or groups of cases where they were similar in nature, like with the Serenity and Harmony's case, them being gone for 2 years before they were reported missing. Well, now we have a situation like Rudy where he was reported missing and now his family held him captive for whatever reason, or wouldn't tell law enforcement that he had made it back home for, again, whatever reason. How many more cases are on the rolls just like Rudy's where he is home or they are home and it was just never cleared, or may have other extenuating circumstances such as Rudy's? We need to probably be looking at some of these older cases that still have left, that have not been resolved, and maybe look into them and see if they've popped up, if they're back with their family. You know, obviously, if Rudy's family did it, if Janie did this, then she's not the only one. I mean, you got to look at the law of large numbers. If she's doing it, somebody else is doing it too. So how many more Rudys are there out there in the United States of America right now that are being abused, and we're none the wiser that they're back home with their captors and abusers? It's just sad. It's just sad. Slow, very sad. I don't know. Well, his timidness might be related to his abuse. He might not be slow or dumb. He just might be. I mean, there are some really, really smart people out there that you would never know are smart because they never open their mouths. They never talk. They're very timid. They're very shy. They're very introvert. This one seems like he's introvert because he was forced to be introvert. He was forced, to be quiet and, not tell anybody anything. I don't think that was his choice. I think that his mother talked him into doing this. I think at some point it went from this scam into, what do we do now? Now we got to close ourselves off from the rest of the world because of this family secret. You're not missing. We want our family to believe you're missing. We want the world to believe you're missing. We heard that there was a GoFundMe that was stolen. I don't know if it was stolen. She may have closed the account and took that money too and said that somebody who set it up stole it. We don't know. I don't know why anybody would steal money. And not only that, but maybe it was never stolen. Maybe the person realized that they were being duped and decided to return the money back to the people that put the money in. We don't know. We have no information. We just hear rumors that it may have happened. Jennifer's reporting that Rudy was reunited with his aunt. So sad. It breaks my heart for Rudy to be a victim by his own mother. Yes. But you know what? Like, I think that also shocks us in a sense, because this is not something we typically see. It's becoming more common. Even with the teachers at the school, we once upon a time when I was younger, the issue was, parents were concerned about the male teachers with their daughters. Now, this day and age, it doesn't really matter. You got to be concerned with the women and the men, right? There's been a lot of changes. There are a lot of dynamics, a lot of sexualization of our young children. Social media isn't happening. I mean, go look at TikTok. You want to see some booty shaking of young kids? TikTok's where it's at, right? So, which is another reason why I kind of don't really do a whole lot with TikTok as much as I used to. I'm diddling back to it, but I'm not really into those little 2-minute spurts of information. I talk too much. So it's just, there's just something going on, and it's very, very concerning. But we never saw, never heard about mothers abusing their children like this. You've heard about fathers. We talk about the sick, twisted, people out there, but it's very uncommon you hear of this from a mother. But it's becoming more common, just like it is with the female teachers. Well, I mean, we can't not notice it. Shoot, 1 week had 6 teachers, female teachers go to jail. And that was 1 week, a 1 week period for fiddling with their teenage students. It's becoming a problem. Everything's becoming a problem. I don't know where, I swear, I think people took a crazy pill somewhere along the way. It might be that higher education pill that they've been giving everybody. I don't know. But apparently you get too much higher education, you turn into a twisted SOB. Right? It is. It's super, super disgusting. It's super disgusting. And I just keep thinking, and that kind of comes down to, that Quinnell, him coming out and broadcasting such personal details about that young man that's trying, that obviously suffered something. We don't know to the tune of what he suffered, but we do know he had to have suffered. You can tell he suffered. People don't run away from home. unless they're suffering. He's 25 years old. He has no need to run away from home. He can literally pack his stuff and walk out the door. The boy doesn't know he can just pack his stuff and walk out the door. He is dependent upon his mother because his mother set his life up so he is constantly dependent upon her. So much so, he's doing her job for her. He's going to work with her. He's not even allowed to have his own job or his own money. I mean, if that's not control, I don't know what is. But Stockholm Syndrome, and I hope law enforcement is paying attention, because he should have a restraining order against his mother if he's even breathed a word of this story that Quinnell spoke to the public. He should have a restraining order against his mother. Law enforcement has tools available. So if people are a harm to them or someone else, they can take action. If they believe that this man is suffering from Stockholm Syndrome, they need to act. They need to act. Because I think it's a relief, at least to me, to know that he's not with his mother. I think that is something that we can all at least take a deep breath to know that he's not with his mother. Many people were worried that if he left with his mother, we would never see him again. I just want to assure my audience that he's not with his mother, according to his family. According to his family. And I showed you the receipts of the family speaking about it. So, guys, we're going to keep going down this road with Rudy's case. We've got some updates on Brian Kohberger. I'm going to go through some of those with you. That video of the car that's surfacing from Linda Lane, I'm going to maintain that I don't think it has anything to do with Brian Kohberger or his case. It's on the opposite side of where Brian was. I've looked at it. I've looked at it in conjunction with the map and where we know for a fact Brian Kohberger was and where he drove and where cameras that law enforcement picked him up on. And if this really was the case where that was his car, that would be evidence. That would be evidence in their case. They would use that to show where he was at what time. I don't think that would have been. Now, was there activity going on? We know that there's activity going on in that area, early morning hours, not a whole lot, even after the kids go. But even when I was out there, even when we got body cam footage, we see cars on the road. It's not that there's no cars whatsoever on the road. I can tell you the angle that he was at, there is no way that was his car, because that was on, he was on the other side of that building. He was on the other side of that building. I think, and then there was some audio with it as well. And I don't remember the audio being there on the original. Maybe it was, and I just didn't listen to it. But there was some audio on it. Let me see if I pull this up. I got a lot of stuff on Rudy. I just haven't had a chance to pull it all up. But there was something here. Let me find it. She had a map, and is it this one? No, I think we're getting close. There it is. There it is. I'll put this. So let me put this up on here on the big screen. Here we go. So this is the parking lot that Brian Kohberger was in, right here, okay? This one right here. Here's the apartments. Oh, excuse me. I got it backwards. Hold on here. This is where he was, over here. Is that right? Yes, over here. So here is the house. Here is the girl's house over here, okay? The camera is way over here. This is where Brian Kohberger went in. Let me see if I can pull this up just a little bit bigger. So this is where Brian Kohberger went in, okay, guys? This is the front of their house. He would not have driven back in this area, and this is a one-way area. He would have went up this road here to the back. So I don't know. There may have been other activity going on. I mean, there's a lot of white cars in this area. There's a lot of other cars in this area. It's not uncommon, but I don't think he would have went this far over. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't bode with the probable cause affidavit. He was in front of their house over here. This is over 305 feet away. I mean, in any sound that came from over here, I doubt would have been heard over here if it was barely heard on the camera that was right outside of Xana's bedroom. They could hear some crying and whimpering. They could hear the dog barking. They could hear the thud. We know what time Brian got in the neighborhood because they have a camera across the street, a Ring doorbell camera across the street. So, I'm not saying that there's not activity going on. I just don't believe it's Brian Koberger activity. It could very well have been the DoorDash driver for all we know. I mean, we really don't know, but I don't see. I just don't see that. It seems like it's too far away from where we know Brian's car was at for it to have picked up Brian Koberger's car on that Ring doorbell camera. I'm not saying there wasn't some activity going on there. We don't know how close it was. We don't know. We can't see the proximity of this car in conjunction with that camera. I've got to go through my footage because if it's there, we definitely were back there in that area. Me and Olivia both. I know I've got footage in that area, and we'll try to make heads or tails with real life footage. I'll try to work on it tonight, but I'm going to be crunched for time tomorrow because I've got something going on here, and why I wasn't on here early this morning. Now is the first time I've had enough time to go live to discuss this. And of course, with the winter, by the way, guys, as you know from my post in my community tab, Winter Smith was found, and she was found deceased. And I almost want that animal just to be burned at the stake. I'm just disgusted. I'm absolutely disgusted. That little girl didn't do anything to deserve. Anyways, so we heard about little Winter Smith. She's gone. And when we were talking about her case, I told you guys that I just felt that this was like Passion Jeffrey's case, 2.0, that this wasn't feeling good, that I was not confident that we were going to get a good outcome in this case. And of course we did not. We're going to continue to monitor the case. I'm going to continue to be requesting public records on the case. And as it comes in, I'll try to get those out to you. Like right now I have, I'm just now getting the record request for our vacation mom. And I've got to go through those videos and see what I can come up with and see if there's anything that you guys would be interested in hearing with the vacation mom. And then, of course, we had Winter Smith, Brian Koberger, and, of course, this new one with Rudy, which is just, it's devastating. My heart bleeds for him because I just can't imagine how many times he sat in bed crying, wanting to leave. And he talks about, wanting to get out of his mom's room, so much so that he would literally crawl under the bed to hide from her. It's some of the stuff we're hearing is really horrible. And it's sad because I really wish, I knew that this would have eventually come out about this assault, especially once she was arrested and whatnot, because it was already gaining notoriety because of how many years he had been missing for. So eventually we were going to hear about these allegations, but I just worry that, Rudy's face is out there and now he's tied to this horrible story, such a private story, such a humiliating story that is now plastered across everything. And I just feel really bad as a victim of sexual assault myself. I just feel really, really, really bad that he, was exposed this way. But again, it's, I don't even know what to say. This is just, it blew my mind. I can tell you that. It blew my mind. Let's see where we are here. So I think that's really all I had to talk about. I know this is kind of a short live, but I did want to make sure that I got on here and got to say hi to everybody today. I'm sorry I wasn't here this morning. I'm going to try to make it in the morning. I should be on, I'm thinking no later than like 7:30, 8 o'clock. I'll try to start like normal time, but with it being summertime, I've got to adjust my time just a little bit because people aren't getting up as early as they usually are during the summer months. So we'll modify that. But either way, guys, I hope you guys have a great rest of your Thursday. We're sliding into Friday, TGIF, and then a wonderful weekend, which of course I will be working. And we'll bring something to you. I've still got some videos that I need to work on. I'm still waiting for some information to come to me from Moscow Police Department, and then I can get the rest of the stories out that I have here that are interesting, that I think you guys will be interested in. But anyways, I hope you guys have a wonderful night. God bless each and every one of you. Don't forget to be fearless. If you see something, say something. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound to cure. And until next time, be safe and kind to one another. Good day.
As you wake up in the morning, you want to find the latest, greatest information about criminal cases and have an intuitive conversation about the suspects associated with these cases. Head over to the Bullhorn Betty channel on YouTube. Get breaking news right here on the Bullhorn Betty channel. Welcome to the Bullhorn Betty Coffee Club. Enjoy your stay and enjoy your day.